between here and Kelvin. If I wanted to meet Kelvin, right, and I said, look, I want to meet Kelvin, I want to meet Kelvin, I'd love to get in touch with that businessman or, you know, that film star or that great person up there, I would have to look around with my circle of friends, and somebody in my immediate circle of friends you'd know this chap, and this chap would know that chap, and that chap would know that girl, and that girl would know that guy would know that guy, and that guy there would know Kelvin. So that's what they call 6 degrees of separation. So between me and anyone in the world that I wanted to meet, or I wanted to know about, or I wanted to have an audience with, or a meeting with, there were 6 people that I had to find between me and that person. They call that 6 degrees of separation. Today, it's 3 degrees of separation. Have you heard that expression before? Okay, this is the #1 most important lesson. And by the way, everything I tell you is the #1 most important lesson. You haven't picked that up yet. Have you noticed that I keep saying that's the #1 most important thing? Because each one of the things I tell you is #1 most important to somebody in this room. Because some of you already know half of this, some of you may remember half of this, and some of you will hear it again and again and again before you remember a little bit of it. So everything I tell you is the #1 most important thing. Alright? So, no, sorry, what's your name? Sammy? Okay. Sammy, where are you from? Vietnam? Where about in Vietnam? What city?
Ho Chi Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh City. I've just been there. Yeah, I was lucky. Now, no, seriously, I was lucky. I went there. Look, unfortunately, my brother went there as well. But unfortunately, my brother went there with a gun. I went there with a smile. Guess who had the best time? Him or me? Yeah. And the people that he met, guess how happy they were to see him? And the people I met, guess how happy they were to see me? On a scale of 1 to 10?
You were 10, he was 0.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm not saying that my brother's a bad guy, but unfortunately, when he was your age, there was a huge war going on, and the poor chaps from here were sent over there. Not that they wanted to go, but they were sent anyway. You see? So I had the pleasure of going over there and having a lot of fun. Now, just let me tell you how this happened. Because this is a story about networking. Alright? A story about networking. I went to Vietnam because the insurance company that booked me took me to Vietnam. So I got a free ride. I got a free holiday to Ho Chi Minh City. I got to see all around the city. I got to see a lot of tourist sites, right? But let me tell you the story. Let's go back a few years. Let's go back like 10, 15 years. So I got a free trip in January. I got a free trip to Kuala Lumpur. From Kuala Lumpur I went to Vietnam, and from Vietnam they flew me to Kuala Lumpur, and then they'd also paid for my flight back to Australia. So I got a return flight from Kuala Lumpur to Adelaide, and from Kuala Lumpur to Vietnam, and Vietnam back to Kuala Lumpur. And all expenses paid. And I came home with money in my pocket. Does that sound like a good story? Oh, you don't want to know that. Do you want to know how that happened? Well, the only reason I'm going to tell you is because it's all to do with networking. See, what happened was, over 15 years ago, I went to Kuala Lumpur. And I went there because I put my name in a hat to be drawn out as one of the speakers for a Toastmasters conference. Right? I was a Toastmaster. And I would recommend that all of you look into Toastmasters. There's lots of Toastmasters clubs here in Adelaide. Right? And there's lots of Toastmasters clubs in Asia. All over the place. It's a professional or it's a public speaking organisation. They teach you to become good presenters, good public speakers. And while you're here in Adelaide, it would be really, really worth your while to join a Toastmasters club. And if anybody wants to go to a Toastmasters club, right, let me know, because on the 25th of May, my club that I started more than 15 years ago, right, are having a 500th meeting. Their 500th meeting. So if anybody wants to come, let me know and we'll all go together. We'll take over the club. Alright? We'll invade them. Alright? So if you want to come, let me know, alright? We can all go as a big group. We'll just book out the hotel. Okay, so if anybody's interested, let me know. It'll be up at Flagstaff Hill. Don't worry, we'll go anyway. If we have to hire a bus, we'll hire a bus. Or we'll get some cars and we'll fleet you up there, alright? The point is, let's just invade the club, alright? All I'm saying is, it's a great organisation. What I did was I put my name in the hat to be an entertaining after-dinner speaker. Because I'm a magician, right? So, after a lot of argy-bargy, the guy in Malaysia, now I understand one thing, with Asians they have to save face. Right? I understand that. I mean with the Chinese especially, they've got to look good. Right? So this chap, who was a chairman, was a typical person that you don't want to deal with. Right? He's like, I'm more important than you, and who are you anyway? And, you know, and I'm the president. You know? But what happened was, one of my friends, who was also a very good friend with him, suggested that he should look at my resume, or should look at what I do. Is that networking? Yes. Did I know that person in Malaysia? Did anybody in Malaysia know me? But because I met this one Indian lady, right, and one Chinese lady, who were from Malaysia, right, and this particular lady that I met, Chinese, happened to be from Miri in Borneo. And she said to this guy in Kuching, look, you should have Peter. And the guy said, why? Because she had seen me perform here and seen me as a magician and knows that I'm pretty good as a magician. And said, he is a good speaker, he understands Toastmasters, and he's also a good performer. And they said, okay. He said, all right, we'll put his name in the hat. Not even, let's look at him. He was like, just putting my name there, you know. So somehow, after juggling through all the names, somehow my name came up to the top. The reason why my name came up to the top is because my friend kept referring me, kept recommending me. And a couple of other people said, yes, he's a senior Toastmaster, he's set up a club, he's done this, he's done that, he's done that. So the guy eliminated several of the others. And I went through a really big, long process. But that's networking. Do you understand that? So it's not just going in here, here's my resume, give me the job. They had looked at all these other things. You see? And then what happened was, I finally got the gig. So I said, great. So I flew up to Asia, and while I was up there, I had a look around Malaysia, and then I was in Thailand. I went to Thailand to do some work in Thailand. But because this guy found out that I was doing some work in Malaysia and some work in Thailand, guess what? Oh, come on, you've got to guess one thing right tonight.
He flew you to Vietnam.
What? No, he was a Jew. Chinese Jew. They're worse. What I mean was, what happened was, all of a sudden, come on guys, what's this mean? Going up? Something went up? My name, my reputation, my credibility went up. Does that make sense? Thank you. The line went on. See, I'm not going to tell you everything. What I'm going to do, I'm teasing your brains to come up with it. Isn't that a really good way to learn?
Yeah.
See, I don't want to just shove this stuff down your throat. I want you to learn it. I want you to understand what I'm saying. Does that make sense? You know what happened? As he heard, I've got a job in Malaysia, my name went from the bottom of the hat to halfway in the hat. As he learned, I was doing a presentation to a pharmaceutical company in Bangkok. All of a sudden, it went from the bottom up to the top of the hat. All of a sudden, he knew that I was doing presentations to big insurance companies and major banks in Malaysia. And then he knew that I was doing a world international pharmaceutical conference in Bangkok. Guess what happened to my name? Oh, come on, guess that one right. What? No, you're too good. Did you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said? No, come on, stand up, say it again. She's very good. We've got to give her a clap too.
He jumped out of the
Well done. Can you understand this story? The story is not about me. The story is about networking. Can you understand that?
Yes.
You're a tough audience. Okay, so my name jumped out of the hat. Thank you. And at this stage, he had not even seen me. Like I said, I didn't have a web page. All I had was a piece of paper, not even that long. It was a little bit like what Vernon read out, it was like 2 paragraphs. Seriously, it was just 2 paragraphs. That's all I ever used. But what happened was, because he heard of all the different things I was doing, what do you think got in his head? Oh, you guys are very good. I'm going to have to gag you for a little while. Did you hear? What happened to the rest of you? Wake up! Did you hear what she said? Stand up. Turn around. What did you say?
This guy's good.
Thank you. That's what went on in his head. Did you understand that? That's what went on in his head. Did I have to tell him how good I was? Did somebody else then have to tell him how good I was? He just assumed. He just assumed I was good because I had all these bookings. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So in other words, if you want to network, you've got to be around the people who's going to talk about you. You're going to be around the people who's going to say something good about you. You see, I said something good about Jennifer, to Natasha, that was here earlier. I said, listen, Natasha, this girl is not just like the average student who comes here and just sits down and does nothing. At least she's a little bit proactive. She's working with a couple of guys and a committee, and they've brought a group of people to our function. I said, then I've asked her to ring a couple of people, 2 or 3 people. She's rang a couple of people. Guess what else I asked her for? Yes, very good. You know the other thing I asked for? I asked her to give me some feedback. I said, send me an email and tell me what happens. So she rang one guy, and then I had to chase her a little bit too, because I'm trying to teach her. So I said, what happened? Oh, then she sent me an email. Let's face it, Jennifer's not that good, you know. She's a lot better now, but she was down here at first. You know, she was at the bottom of the hat.